stream will be live in 20 seconds.
Okay, thank you.
And the veto has been triggered for the next hour and a half.
Crystal just joined.
Okay, perfect. All right. I'll convene the meeting. Can we do a roll call, please?
McIntyre,
She's still connecting.
Peter,
Here.
DeCook.
Here. We do have a quorum. If we'll please rise for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Are there any agenda deletions or corrections? Okay, seeing none. I will read through the consent agenda. All items listed under the consent agenda will be enacted by one motion. Claims, I have a claims figure of $1,977,714.
Yeah.
$14.29 with no fringes. B, minutes to approve. We have an October 5, 2021 regular meeting, an October 5, 2021 closed session meeting, October 5, 2021 special meeting, October 12, 2021 work session. C, closing of Lacona Congregate Meal Site located at 104 South Washington Avenue, Lacona, Iowa, 50139. D, approve auditor's addition of a part-time position with no benefits. E, approve weed commissioner salary increase to $12,000 per year with reimbursement of mileage, phone stipend, and use of county iPad for reports and email effective April 1, 2022. F, approve Supervisor McIntyre to serve on Impact Board of Directors as a Warren County Public Representative. G, remove Nathaniel Davidson from payroll effective October 1st, 2021. H, remove Doyle Jacobs from payroll effective October 15, 2021. I, remove Wade Henry from payroll effective October 15, 2021. J, step increase for Dustin Ryland effective October 30th, 2021. K, step increase for Michael Hagan effective October 23, 2021. L, approve temporary new employees for election assistants in auditor's office effective October 13, 2021. Cindy Henry, Linda Rogers, Jane Summers, Shelley Wakeman. M, approve payroll additions and removal for Sarah Fisher, dental assistant, health services effective October 12, 2021. N, approve payroll removal for Margaret Weatherman, dispatcher, sheriff's office effective October 1st, 2021. O, approve new employee Emily Lawyer, dispatcher, sheriff's office effective October 18, 2021. P, approve new employee Michaela McDonald, dispatcher, sheriff's office effective October 24, 2021. Q, abatement of taxes pursuant to Iowa Code 445, Chapter 445.16 on parcel number 631-000000310 in the amount of $80.60. approve 28E agreement between the Department of Natural Resources and Warren County for private water well permitting. S, approve payroll removal for Ted Hall, Co-Director, Veterans Affairs, effective October 1st, 2021. T, set public hearing date for 11/2/2021 at 9:35 a.m. regarding a rezoning application submitted by Mark Ogden, 14659 180th Avenue, Milo, Iowa, 50166, for land from A1 to C2. U, set public hearing date for November 2, 2021 at 9:40 a.m. regarding a rezoning application submitted by Mike and Mary Lee Vanderpool, 10205 Highway 92, Indianola, Iowa, 50125, from A1 and C2 to C2. V, set public hearing date for November 2, 2021 at 9:45 a.m. regarding a review of final plat 2 for Vista Ridge submitted by Land Holding LLC, 12119 Stratford Drive, Suite B, Clive, Iowa, 50325. W, set public hearing date for November 2, 2021 at 9:50 a.m. regarding a review of final plat for Nicholson Estate, Plat 1, submitted by Thomas Nicholson, 200 West Orchard Avenue, Indianola, Iowa, 50125. X, set public hearing for approval of revised Chapter 22, Dangerous Buildings, Warren County Code of Ordinances, 9:55 a.m., November 2, 2021, 6:35 p.m., November 16, 2021, 9:55 a.m., December 7, 2021. Y, set public hearing for approval of revised Chapter 30, General Environmental Health Regulations, Warren County Code of Ordinances, 9:58 a.m., November 2, 2021, 6:38 p.m., November 16, 2021, 9:58 a.m., December 7, 2021. Z, set public hearing for approval of revised Chapter 35, County-Owned Public Sanitary Sewer Systems, Warren County Code of Ordinances, 10:01 a.m., November 2, 2021, 6:41 p.m., November 16, 2021, 10:01 a.m., December 7, 2021. AA, set public hearing for approval of revised Chapter 40, General Provisions and Regulations, Warren County Code of Ordinances, 10:04 a.m., November 2, 2021, 6:44 p.m., November 16, 2021, 10:04 a.m., December 7, 2021. BB, set public hearing for approval of revised Chapter 41, Districts and Boundaries, Warren County Code of Ordinances, 10:07 a.m., November 2, 2021, 6:47 p.m., November 16, 2021, or 6:47 p.m., November 16, 2021, 10:07 a.m., December 7, 2021. CC, set public hearing for approval of revised Chapter 42, Zoning Supplementary and Qualifying Regulations, Warren County Code of Ordinances, 10:10 a.m., November 2, 2021, 6:50 p.m., November 16, 2021, 10:10 a.m., December 7, 2021. DD, set public hearing for approval of revised Chapter 43, Zoning, Enforcement, and Administration, Warren County Code of Ordinances, 10:13 a.m., November 2, 2021, 6:53 p.m., November 16, 2021, 10:13 a.m., December 7, 2021. EE, set public hearing for approval of revised Chapter 44, Airport Height and Hazard Regulations, Warren County Code of Ordinances, 10:16 a.m., November 2, 2021, 6:56 p.m., November 16, 2021, 10:16 a.m., December 7, 2021. FF, set public hearing for approval of revised Chapter 45, Floodplain Management Ordinance, Warren County Code of Ordinances, 10:19 a.m., November 2, 2021, 6:59 p.m., November 16, 2021, and 10:19 a.m., December 7, 2021. J, GG, set public hearing for approval of revised chapter 46, subdivision regulations, Warren County Code of Ordinances, 10:22 a.m., November 2, 2021, 7:02 p.m., November 16, 2021, 10:22 a.m., December 7, 2021. HH, set public hearing for approval of revised chapter 47, historic preservation, Warren County Code of Ordinances, 10:25 a.m., November 2, 2021, 7:05 p.m., November 16, 2021, 10:25, December 7, 2021. And last, II, set public hearing for approval of revised chapter 9, registration and operation of all-terrain vehicles, ATVs, utility task vehicles, and off-road vehicles, UTVs, Warren County Code of Ordinances, 10:28 a.m., November 2, 2021, 7:08 p.m., November 16, 2021, 10:28 a.m., December 7, 2021. Do we have a motion to adopt the consent agenda?
I'll make a
I'll make a
motion.
motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
McIntyre,
Aye.
Heater,
Aye.
DeCook.
Aye. Next one set for 6:05, we have a public hearing for the approval of revised chapter 10, road classification area service system, Warren County Code of Ordinances. Good evening, Don.
Good evening. This is a continuation of recodification of the ordinances for the county. We do this every 5 years. The transportation ordinances are chapter 10 through 19. We worked with County Engineer David Carroll and members of his department, including Tim Hill and Heather Castile, on chapters 10 through 12 and 14 through 19. We also worked with Doug McCaslin on chapter 13. The first one we have before you would be chapter 10, road classification area service system. We're asking the board to approve the revised chapter 10 and waive the second and third readings. When I'm speaking about revisions, I am not talking about huge changes at all. What we've done is clean up some of the language, the grammar language within the ordinances. We have not substantially changed any of the content of these particular transportation ordinances.
And it's your legal opinion we need to address them separately?
We do.
Okay.
You have to do a resolution for each one.
Never hurts to ask. Okay. I'll make a motion to go into public meeting.
Second.
Roll call, please.
McIntyre,
Aye.
Heater,
Aye.
DeCook.
Aye. We are in public meeting or hearing. Do we have any comments online regarding chapter 10, road classification area service system, Warren County Code of Ordinances, or in the room?
I would add for the benefit of the public that these notices were published in the 3 newspapers within the county, and that they have been available notices as well as the ordinances online. I have received no comment regarding chapter 10.
Any comments from the public? Mary?
Oh, yes.
How are you?
Marilyn Holdeman, 19057 Drake Street, Carlisle, Iowa. Mine will be in regard to the B roads, the issues that are out there. I was around when the state passed this classifications, and there was a great uproar here that we were going to abandon our roads. And Bob Sandy was engineer at that time. We were assured that they would not be abandoned. There was a policy that they would be graded no less than twice a year, spring and fall, so farmers could access for planting, harvesting. And this really is kind of gone by the wayside. I have one that didn't see a blade in 3 years. And when they worked on S-23 and closed the bridge, there were 10 houses down there. And I happened to finally manage to get through with a truck, ran into the blade man, and I asked if he would go through that section on Eisenhower. And he said, oh yes, he would. And he smoothed it up, and during that closure, we used that road. This road is, the farmers have to access that to get to fields. They have to use it. They've been mowing it. They tried blading it, but it has kind of been lost. And I guess I would like to have that put back in the policy, that all these B roads be bladed no less than twice a year. Farming is a big business. I sat on the Farm Bureau board for a number of years. And I'll speak as a trustee from Palmyra Township because this happens to be in my township. I understand the engineer's problem with the four-wheelers, the ATVs running up and down, tearing them up, but we also now allow ATVs, and sometimes that's the only way a farmer can get back to check cattle. His crops is with a tractor and an ATV, and it tears them up. And it would be nice to at least say they're going to be bladed twice a year. That is been a concern. That at one time was the policy here, and I guess I would like to have it put back in here in an appropriate place. It isn't a big thing to most people, and people that live in town don't think about it, but if your road is in bad shape with mud holes, big ruts, if there is a accident or a fire back in there where that farmer is, they can't get to them. And I'm speaking on behalf of the rural people, in my township at least, and farmers in general. It's just a concern I have, and I'd like to see something put in there so everybody knows, and engineer knows, the public knows, and so that is my concern. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Are there any other thoughts from the public? We are in open meeting. Or questions? Do you have a time frame when the policy shifted from twice a year on the Bs?
I do not. I can talk with David and find out. We can,
I'd prefer not waiving second and third on that and maybe get a little more information just so we all at least know what has transpired and what the current status quo is. I've spoken with our engineer before about Bs before, and he has told me that they do snow removal. I mean, it's not a priority one, it's the absolute last ones to get done. And I know that they can run blades on them. I don't know how frequently they do.
It was always understood that there would not be snow removal on Bs from the beginning, unless the farmer had to get it in there himself. But most of the time you don't have cattle on pasture, and we have to get in there. And snow was never addressed. Sorry, I didn't bring that up.
No, I understand. So let's, I mean, I'm fine moving this forward tonight, but I'd like to hear from our engineer just so we make sure that we're kind of on the same page. And I think that what you're saying regarding the Bs makes sense to me as far as some maintenance versus, I don't think once every 3 years is a sufficient number. That's in reality what's happening. I'm not saying that it isn't. I believe you. So.
David is on here.
Oh, David, are you available?
Yeah, I think it's still something we can discuss at a later date. If I had a crystal ball and could figure out when someone's gonna go mudding down a road, you're trying to set a number to something that sometimes is a case-by-case basis. I guarantee the majority of them get bladed twice, if not a lot more in the year, but it just depends on if you want to set a set number to that or not, because we really do rely on people giving us notice that the roads needs attention without being able to put eyes on all 1,000 miles of roadway at one time. We really do rely on that public feedback. So, I mean, if the board desires to put a number to how many times they get hit in a year,
I will add that the maintenance policy, which is 10.7, says blading or dragging will not be performed on a regular basis. That's what the ordinance says, just so you know. On level B roads.
Because I know that some of our roads will have level A, and then we'll have a patch of level B, and then it'll go back to level A. I'm guessing those ones probably get a little more attention than something that's straight B for a longer period of time. I'm not so sure that a hard and fast rule is necessary, but I think that we should also strive towards being responsive when there is an issue. So I don't mind taking on level board.
And I might add, it's just so weather dependent. There's times we've had almost a drought year this year, especially in the spring. It's probably better we didn't blade a lot of the roads quite as often with how dry they were. So it's just tough to really nail down a set number, but I'm definitely open for further discussion on it.
And Supervisor McIntyre, do you have some thoughts?
Yes, I was thinking a minimum might be best, you know, just to alleviate Carolyn's concerns. But, you know, I know that those level B roads are touched at least twice a year, once in the spring and once in the fall at least. So, you know, I'm with the engineer when it comes to if there's a need, if there's something that has happened on that road that we're not aware of, you know, by all means give us a call, and I know that our secondary roads is very responsive, so.
Any further discussion in our open public hearing? Okay, I'll make a motion to leave public hearing. Roll call please.
McIntyre,
Aye.
Peter,
Aye.
DeCook.
Aye. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the revised road classification area service system. My motion does not include waiving the second and third reading.
Okay, second. Any discussion?
Did we make, did we put a minimum in that road thing, or set some type of threshold? I mean, I just don't want us to forget, or let the blade operators forget that they do have a level B road, since they're not used to always touching it.
Why don't we do this? We've got a motion. He did not include that. Let's discuss it before the next reading, which will be on probably November 2, would be
Yeah.
my guess. Based
Do you mind if
on.
I propose something on this one? If
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yep, that'll give us a little time between now and November 2 to see what's workable, and maybe we can find some sort of a compromise or some middle ground so that we're making sure that we're touching them before spring.
It was lacking, and we updated the ordinance back in November of 2014. And I'd like Don's opinion on this as well, but since this is mainly formatting and some grammar changes, couldn't we address this as a separate public hearing process at a later date, so we can get feedback on actual, I guess, content change or context change? That's completely up to you, but a lot of these have been updated in the last 7-8 years, and this was mainly formatting and some, you know, couple misspelled words here or there.
So if you don't waive the second or third reading,
We'll
then we can discuss that during the work session and come up with an amendment or change to the ordinance. And we can address it in the second or third reading.
Yep, right now it's moving forward down the path that it's on as status quo, and we'll have some time between now and November 2 or December 7th to make a change if that's what the board desires. So, okay, we've got a motion. Crystal, did you second that or did you not? I don't remember.
No, I did not.
Darren did, didn't
Aaron
He made the
seconded.
motion. Oh, I seconded it, okay. All right, we have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
McIntyre,
No.
Heater,
Aye.
DeCook.
Aye. We will address it before our second reading. Okay, number 3 on our agenda tonight is public hearing for approval of revised chapter 11, policies and level of service and clearance of snow, Warren County Code of Ordinances. I'll make a motion to go into public hearing.
Second?
So moved. Second.
Roll call, please.
McIntyre,
Aye.
Heater,
Aye.
DeCook.
Aye. We are in public hearing.
Chapter 11 addresses policies and level of service and clearance of snow. We are asking the board to approve the revised Chapter 11 and waive the second and third readings.
We need to go into public hearing.
Yes.
I'll make the motion to go into public hearing.
He's coming out or going in? They just went in.
They're making a motion to go into public hearing.
I thought they just did.
Are we in public hearing?
I thought so.
Yeah,
Okay.
he made the motion and Darren seconded.
Okay, so you're already in public hearing.
Okay.
This is Chapter 11, policies and level of service and clearance of snow.
Mhm.
We're asking that the board approve the revised Chapter 11 and waive the second and third readings.
Are there any comments from the public or online? I'll make a motion to approve revised chapter 11.
You have to go out of public hearing.
Okay. I'll make a motion to exit public hearing.
Second?
Roll call, please.
Second.
McIntyre,
Aye.
Heater,
Aye.
DeCook.
Aye. We're out of public hearing. I'll make a motion to approve revised chapter 11, policies and level of service and clearance of snow.
Second?
Discussion. Roll call, please.
McIntyre,
Aye.
Heater,
Aye.
DeCook.
Aye. Number 4 is public hearing set for 6:11 PM. I'll make a motion to go into public hearing.
Second.
Roll call, please.
McIntyre,
Aye.
Heater,
Aye.
DeCook.
Aye.
This is Chapter 12. Chapter 12 addresses snow routes and that parking is prohibited on the snow routes during those times when snow needs to be removed. We're asking the board to approve the revised Chapter 12 and waive the second and third reading.
We are in public hearing. Are there any comments from the public or online? Seeing none, I'll make a motion to exit public hearing.
Second.
Roll call, please.
McIntyre,
Aye.
Heater,
Aye.
DeCook.
Aye. I'll make a motion approving revised chapter 12, snow routes, parking prohibited, Warren County Code of Ordinances,
Wait a second.
and waive the second and third.
Second?
Did we waive the second and third on number 3?
You did.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
McIntyre,
Aye.
Heater,
Aye.
DeCook.
Aye. Number 4 is set for 6:14, so we're still good on time. Public hearing for approval of revised chapter 13. I'll make a motion to go into public hearing.
Second?
Roll call, please.
McIntyre,
Aye.
Heater,
Aye.
DeCook.
Aye. We are in public hearing.
Chapter 13 addresses uniform rural address system. As I stated earlier, we worked with Doug McCaslin on this chapter to make very minor revisions. We're asking that the board approve the revised Chapter 13 and waive the second and third readings.
Do we have any comments from the public or online? Seeing none, I'll make a motion to exit public hearing.
Second.
Roll call, please.
McIntyre,
Aye.
Heater,
Aye.
DeCook.
Aye. I'll make a motion to approve revised Chapter 13 Uniform Rural Address System, Warren County Code of Ordinances, and waive the second and third reading.
Second.
Second.
Roll call, please.
McIntyre,
Aye.
Heater,
Aye.
DeCook.
Aye. Number 6. I'll make a motion to go into public hearing regarding revised Chapter 14 sidewalk construction, reconstruction, and repair of Warren County Code of Ordinances.
Second.
Second.
Roll call, please.
McIntyre,
Aye.
Heater,
Aye.
DeCook.
Aye, we are in public hearing.
Chapter 14 within the Code of Ordinances addresses sidewalk construction, reconstruction, and repair. We are asking the board to approve revised Chapter 14 and waive the second and third readings.
I'm gonna have to ask David to explain this one to me.
Mr. Carroll, are you online?
Yeah, I'm here. Are you guys on chapter 14?
We
Yes,
are.
sir. I thought we didn't do sidewalks in the county.
It addresses the ones we have, such as the plaza. So it's really no different than a lot of, city ordinances read in regards to sidewalks. Where the property owner is responsible for the sidewalk in front of their home. If there's things like trip hazards or large settled areas, we can ask them to fix it. If that were to happen, we'd probably involve, the board and the attorney's office to figure out how to do that. We haven't really been enforcing it, mainly because, we've been doing a lot of curb ramps in the plaza. And in my opinion, I didn't think it was right to enforce a couple cracks in the sidewalk when it was still lacking in curb ramps. Now, as we phase those into the future and provide more accessibility in the plaza, it's probably worth looking into more enforcement on it, but I think it's an issue that the county and the citizens kind of bear together in that case, but, even installed utilities, things like water mains that get put in, or septics will settle the sidewalk, so it's really, that's what it's to address, and take quite a bit of staff hours to actually, enforce it. Right now, we just do the most severe areas. We're not gonna get you for a hairline crack in the sidewalk, but if there's a large settled area, and we take responsibility of the curb ramps, we'll try to fix that, and we can, get crews up there to do so.
Great, thank you.
Is there any other questions or comments? Okay, at this time I'll make a motion to exit public hearing.
Second.
Second.
Roll call, please.
McIntyre,
Aye.
Heater,
Aye.
DeCook.
Aye. I'll make a motion approving revised Chapter 14 sidewalk construction, reconstruction, and repair of Warren County Code of Ordinances. And waive the second and third reading.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
McIntyre,
Aye.
Heater,
Aye.
DeCook.
Aye. I'll make a motion to go into public hearing for the approval of revised Chapter 15, Area Service Level C, road classification, Warren County Code of Ordinances.
Second.
Second.
Roll call, please.
McIntyre,
Aye.
Heater,
Aye.
DeCook.
Aye, we are in public hearing.
This is Chapter 13, Area Service Levels C Road Classification. We are asking that the board approve the revised Chapter 15 and waive the second and third reading.
comments from the public? Seeing none, I'll make a motion to exit public hearing.
Second.
Second.
Roll call, please.
McIntyre,
Aye.
Heater,
Aye.
DeCook.
Aye. I'll make a motion to approve revised chapter 15, area service level C road classification, Warren County Code of Ordinances, waiving second and third reading.
Second.
Roll call, please.
McIntyre,
Aye.
Heater,
Aye.
DeCook.
Aye. I'll make a motion to go into public hearing for the approval of revised chapter 16.
Second.
Roll call, please.
McIntyre,
Aye.
Heater,
Aye.
DeCook.
Aye, we are in public hearing.
Chapter 16 addresses procedure for utility installation permits within the county right-of-way. We're asking that the board approve the revised Chapter 16 and waive the second and third readings. This has come up most often, David, and please jump in here, when a utility needs to place a pole within the county right-of-way, and they make application to the engineering office.
Yeah, I can't really add too much more to that description. It's, this one hasn't been updated by our office. There was really never a strong need to, and it's something that I think we handle pretty well right now, so. This is one of the couple of transportation ordinances that hasn't been updated in quite a while, but I think it's pretty cut and dry. That you need a permit to install utility in county public right of way.
Okay, we're in public hearing. Are there any comments on this one? Seeing none, I'll make a motion to exit public hearing.
Second.
Roll call, please.
McIntyre,
Aye.
Heater,
Aye.
DeCook.
Aye, we are out of public hearing. I'll make a motion to approve revised chapter 16, procedure for utility installation permits, Warren County Code of Ordinances, waiving second and third reading.
Second.
Motion and a second. Roll call, please.
McIntyre,
Aye.
Heater,
Aye.
DeCook.
Aye, motion carries. I'll make a motion to go into public hearing for approval of revised chapter 17, unauthorized use of secondary road right-of-way, Warren County Code of Ordinances.
Second.
Roll call, please.
McIntyre,
Aye.
Heater,
Aye.
DeCook.
Aye. We are in public hearing.
Chapter 17 addresses unauthorized use, of secondary road right-of-way. There are times when someone will construct a fence within the county right-of-way. That's not allowed. There are other times when people will put up signs within the county right-of-way. That also is not allowed. This gives the engineer's office the opportunity to go in and talk with the property owner and explain that that must be removed from the county's right-of-way. We're asking that the board approve the revised chapter 17 and waive the second and third readings.
I understand. Are there any comments from the public? Seeing none, I'll make a motion to exit public hearing.
Second.
Roll call, please.
McIntyre, McIntyre, Heater,
Aye.
DeCook.
Aye. Okay, at this time, I'll make a motion to approve revised chapter 17, unauthorized use of secondary road right-of-way, Warren County Code of Ordinances, waiving second and third reading.
Second.
Roll call, please.
McIntyre,
Aye.
Heater,
Aye.
DeCook.
Aye. At this time, we'll make a motion to go into public hearing for approval of revised chapter 18, speed restriction ordinance, Warren County Code of Ordinances.
Second.
Roll call, please.
McIntyre,
Aye.
Heater,
Aye.
DeCook.
Aye, we are in public hearing.
Chapter 18 deals with speed restriction ordinance. This includes all of the changes in speed limits that the board approves upon the request of the county engineer. We're asking that the board approve the revised Chapter 18 and waive the second and third reading.
I understand, are there any comments from the public, either in person or online?
Marilyn Holdeman, 1905 7th Drake Street, Carlisle. I don't necessarily have a real problem with these speeds because of the growth in this county and 150-foot frontage on a lot of the lots. And when this was established, they didn't anticipate, I think, that much growth that fast, maybe. But I'd like you to keep in mind too that there are, unlike the cities, you're having to cover a lot of miles. I'm talking of school buses, mail carriers, various things like that. So as you look at each one of these areas that needs to be looked at, I'd like to have you keep that in mind. It bothers me that I have 25 and 35 mile an hour speed limits in the county, and I drive 45 mile an hour through the Indianola School District out here on 92. So if you could kind of keep that in mind, that there are services out there that it does slow down when you put them in if they pay attention to them.
Thank you for your comment. Yeah, we certainly don't increase speeds very much around here. It kind of only goes one way. Okay. Are there any other comments? At this time, then I'll make a motion to exit public hearing. Second. Roll call, please.
McIntyre,
Aye.
Heater,
Aye.
DeCook.
Aye. I will make a motion approving revised Chapter 18, speed restriction ordinance, Warren County Code of Ordinances, waiving second and third reading.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
McIntyre,
Aye.
Heater,
Aye.
DeCook.
Aye. So I will make a motion to go into public hearing for approval of revised Chapter 19, driveway entrances, Warren County Code of Ordinances.
Second.
Roll call, please.
McIntyre,
Aye.
Heater,
Aye.
DeCook.
Aye. We are in public hearing.
May I check a point of order? Did we pass the ordinance did it approve Chapter 18?
Yes,
Okay.
and they waived the second and third.
Okay, excellent, sorry. Thinking about something else and reading something else. Chapter 19, driveway entrances. We're asking the board to approve the revised Chapter 19 and waive the second and third readings. This is a chapter that was added fairly recently to address driveway entrances, partially in response to the continued addition of residences out within the county. And I would ask David to speak to any questions that you have.
David, for the public's benefit, would you mind giving a brief synopsis?
So this was added in about April 2018. It went through a couple of public hearings back then. It used to be covered by a simple 1 to 2 page resolution. Now it's, I'd say, around 16 pages. It just gives a lot of information on how things are figured when we look at site distance and things of that nature, the driveway entrances. It didn't change the site distance from the resolution, it just added a lot of teeth to where it was needed. We added installation standards and the permitting process and form as well as part of that addition of Chapter 19. So if there's any further questions, I'd be happy to take them.
None here, but we are in a public hearing. Is there anyone from the public or online who has a question or a comment? Seeing as I'm not hearing any, I'll make a motion to leave public hearing.
Second.
Roll call, please.
McIntyre? McIntyre?
Aye.
Heater?
Aye.
DeCook?
Aye. I'll now make a motion to approve revised chapter 19 driveway entrances, Warren County Code of Ordinances, waiving second and third reading.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
McIntyre?
Aye.
Heater?
Aye.
DeCook?
Aye. Motion carries. Number 12. I'll make a motion to go into a public hearing for repeal of chapter 21, animal control, and adoption of new chapter 21, animal control and dangerous dogs, Warren County Code of Ordinances.
Second.
Roll call, please.
McIntyre?
Aye.
Heater?
Aye.
DeCook?
Aye, we are in public hearing.
For everybody's benefit, the next three ordinances have involved the work of Health Services and Environmental Health, Jodine DeVauld, Administrator of Warren County Health Services, Kate Honor, Environmental Health Coordinator, Shayla Llewellyn, Environmental Health Specialist, and approval by the Warren County Board of Health, all three ordinances we're going to address tonight. Also working on the project were Alex Crabb, First Assistant County Attorney, Sheriff Carrico, and several deputies. They all worked with us on the Animal Control chapter. The Animal Control chapter, chapter 21, we have a lengthy Animal Control chapter. We have spent quite a bit of time trying to revise this chapter to make the definition of dangerous dogs clearer and easier to understand. And we also have cleared up how the appeal process is, where you go to appeal if you're not happy with the decision regarding a dangerous dog. That ultimately ends up in the district court, but we start out with the Board of Health. As I noted earlier, the Board of Health has approved the repeal of old Chapter 21, Animal Control, and the adoption of Chapter 21, Animal Control and Dangerous Dogs. We would also ask that the board waive the second and third readings.
We are in public hearing. Are there any comments or questions? Seeing none, I'll make a motion to exit public hearing.
Second.
Second.
Roll call, please.
McIntyre?
Aye.
Heater?
Aye.
DeCook?
Aye. I'll make a motion to repeal chapter 21, animal control, and adopt new chapter 21, animal control and dangerous dogs, Warren County Code of Ordinances.
Second.
Waiving second and third readings.
Second.
Motion second. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
McIntyre?
Aye.
Heater?
Aye.
DeCook?
Aye. Motion carries. Number 13, I'll make a motion to go into a public hearing for the repeal of Warren County Code, Chapter 36, Control of Lead-Based Paint Hazards, Warren County Code of Ordinances.
Second.
Roll call, please.
McIntyre?
Aye.
Heater?
Aye.
DeCook?
Aye. We are now in public hearing.
We are now considering Chapter 36, Control of Lead-Based Paint Hazards. We are asking that the board repeal the current Chapter 36. However, we're not going to leave the county unprotected regarding control of lead-based paint hazards. We are asking the board to adopt Chapter 36, Control of Lead-Based Paint Hazards, by adopting Section 641-68 of the Iowa Administrative Code in its entirety and future amendments and revisions, and waive the second and third readings. We are simply adopting the state code as it exists and as it will exist in the future.
Are there any comments or questions?
Seeing none, I'll make a motion to exit public hearing.
Second.
Second.
Roll call, please.
McIntyre?
Aye.
Heater?
Aye.
DeCook.
Aye.
I'll make a motion to repeal Warren County Code, Chapter 36, Control of Lead-Based Paint Hazards, and adopt the Iowa Administrative Code as 641-68 in its place. Do we need waiver readings?
Yes, but also this would be Warren County's Chapter 36,
Okay.
Control of Lead-Based Paint Hazards.
Okay, included in my motion is Chapter 36. And waive the second and third reading.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, roll call please.
McIntyre.
Aye.
Heater.
Aye.
DeCook.
Aye, motion carries. Number 14, I will make a motion to go into public hearing for repeal of Warren County Code Chapter 37, notification and surveillance of reportable, communicable, and infectious diseases and poisoning and conditions. Warren County Code of Ordinances.
Second.
Roll call please.
McIntyre.
Aye.
Heater.
Aye.
DeCook.
Aye. We are now in public hearing.
We're here tonight about Chapter 37, notification and surveillance of reportable, communicable, and infectious diseases, poisoning, and conditions. We are asking that the board repeal the current Chapter 37 within the Code of Ordinances and adopt the state code as our Chapter 37, communicable and infectious diseases and poisoning, and that would be adopting Chapter 139A of the Iowa Code in its entirety, and future amendments and revisions, and waive this, and ask that they waive the second and third reading.
Okay, we are in a public hearing. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, I will make a motion to depart from public hearing.
Second.
Roll call, please.
McIntyre.
Aye.
Heater.
Aye.
DeCook.
Aye.
Make a motion to repeal Warren County Code Chapter 37, notification and surveillance of reportable and communicable and infectious disease and poisoning and conditions, Warren County Code of Ordinance, and adopt the Iowa Code Chapter 139A in its entirety and future amendments and revisions.
And that this will be Chapter 37 for the Warren County Code.
It'll be
Yes, you
Chapter
did.
37 and waive the second and third readings.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion? Roll call, please.
McIntyre.
Aye.
Heater.
Aye.
DeCook.
Aye. Motion carries. And that concludes our public hearings for tonight's meeting.
Regarding ordinances. And thank you so much for your attention.
Regarding the ordinances. You bet.
Good job, Don.
All right, I've got 6:53, and we are on item number 16, consideration of City of West Des Moines Waterline construction easement across the Great Western Trail at Adams Street with possible action.
You missed one.
What do we miss? Oh, sorry, I'm sorry.
Although,
We're gonna skip 16 and go back to 15 where we should be. One more public hearing. My apologies. I was just getting so excited to be done. But based on the consent agenda, it looks like we've got a whole slog of those coming too. So I'll make a motion to go into public hearing regarding consideration of approval of Big Sky Acres subdivision plat 2 submitted by Larry Hughes. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion in a second. Roll call, please.
McIntyre.
Aye.
Heater.
Aye.
DeCook.
We're back in public hearing. Evening, Lindsay.
Hmm.
Okay, so back in December, on December 15th, 2020, Larry Hughes brought forward a final plat for Big Sky Acres, which was his original subdivision out on R57. It was plat number 2, and that was brought forward. It was the portion on North Onyx Trail. He had moved the cul-de-sac in that subdivision, and so it called for a replat of lots 9, 10, 11, and 12. And there were some issues during that replatting process, and I met with the neighbors and the Wheatleys, and Abby Zager and Doug Morrell met with me, and we worked out the issue that they had between them and the building, and we got that arranged and all taken care of. Abby Zager and Doug also had concerns about a drainage ditch at the time, and where the location of the Warren water lines are running. And it was my understanding that Larry was going to be working with them to get that taken care of. And our ordinance reads that when you get a final plat approved through the Board of Supervisors, you have 30 days from the date of approval, unless an application for an extension at the time is made in writing to get that recorded. Now, I will be quite honest, it takes about 30 to 90 days to get a plat recorded. We don't usually have people come in and ask for that extension, just because it's, by the time they get the legal documents prepared, by the time we get the documents prepared, it comes a resolution from you, then we type an ordinance, a resolution, it goes to the newspaper, we have to wait for that to come back. The engineer is working on the plat to get with the final signatures, so they have to compile a lot of information before it gets recorded. So it generally does take more than 30 days, so we just always kind of grant that extension, and it usually gets done. Well, this did not get recorded, and we're now into October, and I have been in contact with Larry. I was in contact with Larry in the spring, summer, been in contact with him in the fall. Well, these lots are owned now by people, and you have to have a consent to plat. So now we are dealing with mortgage companies, and we're dealing with the landowners. And so now we have to have consents of plat signed by mortgage companies, and we have to have them signed by the landowners. So there would be 6 different, or 3 different mortgage companies and 3 different landowners, and that we're waiting on information for. And there's nothing been resolved in regards to the water lines with the Zegers. I have the Wheatleys, who are awaiting a building permit, and they have a home coming from Career Homes that's going to be ready to be set. And they are actually one of the lots that's not right on this cul-de-sac, so I don't know how much they would be affected if we had maybe some sort of a legal document. But I talked to Don about it. I really think if we are gonna hold it up, I really think it's unfortunate and unfair to them that they have this home that's gonna be, you can't just have a home sitting in a factory waiting. But I think if we're going to, I think we could possibly look at a legal document that would be prepared by their legal counsel, and signed off by Larry's legal counsel and presented to the zoning office, and under our review, then possibly we could do a building permit for them so they could get moving. But it kind of depends on what we figure out with the Zegers and these utility easements. But I really think, because we are almost a year out on this, it would be my opinion, Larry needs to start over with a preliminary plat and come forward and start with a preliminary plat and go through the process and pay the fees and do a preliminary and a final plat, because he's not, the Warren Water situation is not a zoning issue, and that's something as a developer, you have to take that on, and you have to take the steps and work through some of this as a developer, and not, that isn't something that the county handles. And so it's my opinion that I feel he needs to take the steps to work it out with the neighbors and the landowners there. But I also feel we have some unique situations. We have the Wheatley situation, and I understand their situation with their house. So we kind of have some things to kind of work through here, but that's kind of the general thing. I know the Wheatleys are here, and I know the Zagers are here. Abby and Doug are here to address it too, and I know Larry's here, so.
Which lot are the Wheatleys? Is that 8?
What was that?
8?
The Zagers so 11 and 12 are owned by, the Dooleys, and, number 10 is owned by Abby and Doug, and number 9 is owned by the Wheatleys. So, and I don't think the Dooleys are not here tonight, so, it's really just Abby and Doug and the Wheatleys who kind of have the issues, so. And Dawn has an email, I couldn't get it to print the pictures right, so Dawn does have an email that Doug had emailed me that has some pictures of what he's talking about on the, water lines.
So the Wheatleys are on 9?
Yes.
And who's on 8?
No one's on, lot 8 is not included in it. It's just lots 9, 10, 11, and 12 was in the replat. So.
We have hard copies of the photos.
Oh, you do? Oh, good, good.
If, I don't know who'd like to go first, but if you come up, state your name, maybe say again which lot you're in, or what's, your address, and then, we welcome your comments. Good evening.
Evening. My name is Jerry Wheatley. This is my wife Audra. We're the owners of lot number 9. The situation we're in right now is we've got a basement done and dug, and the lumber for the house is due to arrive November 2nd, I believe it was. And the crane is already rented, and it would be very detrimental if we had to just halt everything right now. So I don't know what we're gonna do at this point.
And how is the cul-de-sac out in the right?
Yeah, the cul-de-sac,
And that didn't impact?
it really doesn't impact them too much, it doesn't really impact them.
No, it just kind of moves the corner of the lot that's nowhere near what we're doing.
And like I said, I don't think the Warren Water line issue that Abby and Doug have shouldn't affect your lot per
No.
se. So I think we would probably be okay, but I just think to cover you while we're going through the planning process, I just think it would be best maybe if you had a legal document drawn up with Larry's signature that says nothing's gonna change on your lot, in that process, just
Sure.
so you're covered.
Yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to that.
Yeah. That would just be my suggestion.
All right, thank you.
So is that what we're moving forward with then, or what? I guess I'm confused. I wanna know if my house can be built.
Yeah, we'll figure that out here.
Okay.
Just so you know, my initial impression would be if the deficiencies in the plat not getting recorded, or some of the issues with the water line, or some of the other issues, if that's not impacting your lot specifically, and there's a workaround, then I would be in favor of trying to get it worked around, because you're just gonna bleed money if the package comes and you're ready to things. So I'll try to be flexible with you, try to do on your behalf. I don't know if that's gonna work with number 10, I don't know if that's gonna work with 11 and 12, but it looks like you might have talked a bullet on that, I don't
you a lot.
But if there's a way to fix it, I think we'll try, and we're not gonna represent you, but if you have, a legal way to get it fixed, I think we'll be accommodative. I will be accommodative, so.
Me too.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Oh, I'm not.
Safe and sorry.
I am an attorney, but I'm not a judge. That was Your Honor.
Former Marine, better
I'm gonna let my wife know later tonight that someone called me Your Honor. All right, could I get lot 10? I'd love to hear from you guys.
Doug and Abby, we're lot 10,
What's your last name?
Morrill, Doug Morrill and Abby Zegers, lot 10. The issue is that when the utilities were put in, they were all put in the right-of-ways for the original plat. So now that they've moved the road and everything up the hill, then the utilities are way out of easements. And as you can see, there was never even a ditch completed all the way around the road to begin with, because we didn't have any idea where our road was until recently, and we've been there 5 years. And so now the ditch needs to be moved up the hill, and then in turn to grade out to the driveway and everything else. The water line is in the way because we'll have to cut dirt down and it'll be too close to the surface. Even the electricity, the transformers, you can see them way off down to the far side there past the cul-de-sac. They're way in the lot lines instead of up in the easements where they should be because everything has been moved.
In the building process where.
We've been dealing with it, we've lived there, we've been there,
We
and
closed 4 years ago. We've been dealing with this for that long.
we've been trying to get this drainage issue figured out, because it just, you could see that, the way that ditch is, it runs all the way down the street, right down our yard, because it just stops. And now it needs to go up the hill farther because that's where the road is. You can see where the 911 sign is compared to the road.
I'll be real upfront, Neil. I don't practice real estate law, so like I did take one real estate law class years ago, and I think I did terrible in it. So I'm not an expert. But it appears to me that if the final plat's not gonna need consent, and I think it might need consent from the individual lot owners, it looks like we got an issue. So I don't foresee you all giving consent on.
No, I've talked to an engineer and.
This absent some sort of rectification of the issues that you have. So I don't know how that one's gonna work.
Have you looked into any kind of, is there what is the solution to moving the water line? Is it, grading? Is there a solution to this?
Oh yeah, I'm sure there is a solution. I haven't got a complete solution because I wasn't gonna invest a bunch of money in anything yet.
Right. Okay.
But, the way it sits now, there's, if we dig it up, it's nobody's problem. Somebody's gonna have to fix it.
Our hope is that just the road would be finished completely instead of halfway. So
Yeah, with
that's where we're
the
at.
correct drainage
With
and.
drainage and a ditch like the rest of the development. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. And Lindsay, do we have any email correspondence or thoughts through conversations with the Dooleys?
They did not contact me on this, at all, so, and that was my only thought too, on sending it back as a preliminary, is it goes back as a preliminary, and would, and our office on the road situation, and hopefully this drainage issue gets addressed, and, you know, the utility thing, the water situation and the drainage gets addressed as well. I mean, that would be my thought.
Okay.
You know, when you are a developer, you have to be held to certain standards, and, you know, when you hold one person in a development to one standard, you really need to hold them all to the same, you know, and whether it's a cul-de-sac or not, even if it's just a cul-de-sac, it's really no different than running a whole road into it. You still got people impacted on it, and, you know, it's not reasonable. So I don't know how Larry feels, or what, you know, what he feels, how he feels about it, but we need to get it done and done right in there for the people, and like I said, I absolutely feel for the Wheatleys, and I think if we can avoid holding them up and have some sort of, you know, a legal agreement that, you know, I just don't want anything to come up in that planning process that would, you know, move something for them and then throw them. So if we can get something signed by Larry and, you know, have it be like a legal document that they're protected, I'm all about helping them so they aren't held up in this, and I'm glad they're more up, not on the cul-de-sac portion, and more directly affected than the rest.
Yeah, the only spot might be where the lots touch, because it follows the old plat right up to about that point, and then the road sways basically uphill from the original.
What was the reason for the deviation from the original plan?
Larry, why did can you come forward and address that?
Larry Hughes, 280 First Street, Ackworth. In answer to your question there, when it was originally laid out, the cul-de-sac was too far down a steep hill, and we decided that we're going to have to pull it back up the hill. So that was done when the road people were there, actually. But first I'd like to talk about lot number 9, the Wheatleys. I would have my attorney at my expense draw up the document to allow them whatever legal here at the county says needs to be in there, and get that to them, and then have the county look at it and see it's acceptable, and then sign whatever that's going to be. They were not affected in any way with this situation. Lot 10, I talked to Abby yesterday when I found out that they had the concern about the water line. I knew they had a concern about the drainage, and I hadn't been very concerned about that, honestly, because of the way he graded off of the road down to his house. It's down quite a steep hill, and so your question was, is there a way to correct it? And what I'll do is have an engineer go out there and tell us, but my thought probably is that we would have to bore under the road further up the hill to the south and run that water into the other ditch instead of where it's going now. And then he could pile dirt up at his end to stop it there. That would get the water out of his driveway. When I talked to Abby yesterday and she talked about the water line being on her property, I thought that it was right in the right-of-way after we put in the 100 feet of circular cul-de-sac, because it is about 25 feet from what was our 50-foot circle. We have a 50-foot radius for the gravel portion, then we have a 25-foot additional radius beyond the 50 for the right-of-way. And if it's in there very far, unless it's something that I'm missing, so I told her that I would talk to Warren Water if they would go out and flag where the line was so that we could determine where it was and if it was on their property. And then, once we get that done, so Warren Water said call or Iowa one call, so I did. And they directed me to a website, so I went on the website, and then I got an email back that said somebody would be contacting shortly, and I haven't heard anything, so I'll work again tomorrow on that. But I will go to, I think if Abby and I and Warren Water sit down, we can work something out, and if it means that we have to move it off of their property, we would have to do that, whether that's my expense or whether that's going to be Warren Waters and mine jointly, or whether the alternative could be to buy additional easement, just go out to wherever it is. I don't have any idea how far into their property it is at this point. And that's the only thing tonight I can offer, except on lot 11 and 12. I have talked to him. I talked to him last night. Asked if he was coming to the meeting, and he said no. I asked if he had signed the owner form and got back, and he said no, he just got a letter a couple, 3 days ago from his mortgage company, and they were making, they wanted, I believe, a legal description on the land that he gave up. 11 and 12 was the only one that lost land, and lot 9 and 10 both gained land. So I don't think the mortgage company on either of their sides should be concerned about lost land, because there wasn't any. It was all, it went to 11 and 12 when we did the replat. But I'll be happy to get with, Abby and Warren Water and have a sit down with the three of us and do what needs to be done to resolve that issue.
Does anyone know who the mortgage owner is on 11 and 12?
Matt Dooley.
No, who's the mortgage company?
Oh, I'm not sure who is.
I have those. Yeah, the mortgage company is for 12.
I'm just saying, if I was the bank on that, I might have some issues there. If they put a mortgage on 7 acres and it turns out, if they put a mortgage on 8 acres and it turns out to be 6 acres, I mean, their collateral is diminished some. I don't know that the mortgage company is gonna be okay with that. I don't know.
Dooleys were originally with Viridian Credit Union. Shortly thereafter they closed. They sold it to PennyMac, which is a California company. And at the bottom of PennyMac's letter to Dooley, they said, please note partial release requests may take up to 120 days to complete from the date all requested documentation has been received. So Lindsay was certainly right that it may take a little time with these mortgage companies. We hope it doesn't take near that long, but back to the Wheatleys, we'll do everything that we can so that their build is not held up.
I don't mean to be rude, but if it took you over a year to still have to figure out the plot, Matt, what makes me think that you're gonna help us get our house built in less than 3 weeks?
I'm sorry, what was your question?
You were supposed to have this plot, Matt, redone a year ago. And what makes me,
you
just offered, you were very kind and said you would have your attorney draft up papers so we could build our house. Well, is that gonna happen in the next few days, or is it gonna be 10 months like this?
I can have my attorney get that done probably in the next 4 or 5 days anyway. I can't speak for him, but if all we need is a letter to that thing, well, yeah, and I did provide you with the plat, this replat showing your lot.
I know, but we discussed this, what, December of 2020? Almost a year ago? That's what I'm worried about. Cause I can't afford a house set.
I understand, ma'am. We'll get it taken care of for you.
Okay.
If the board has any other questions of me, I should be happy to answer them.
Yeah, I have one for you, Mr. Hughes. Any rationale on the delay? It looks like, and I'm pretty confident that our zoning director has asked, to get this recorded months ago. Any rationale or reasoning on the delay?
Yeah,
We have to make a decision whether or not we're gonna send this back for.
I was not aware that there was the 30-day thing after we filed the first one, and then several, oh gosh, it may have even been months later that the surveyor got a notice that said, we can't record this replat. And he called me and said, they can't record it, and I went in to see her, and then I got her list of requirements that the treasurer signs off, the mortgage company signs off, the landowner signs off, and all that stuff. So, and it's just a matter of getting it done, actually.
We are still in public comment. Is there anyone else in the room who would like to speak or speak again? Okay. I'll make a motion to end our public hearing. Second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
McIntyre? She there. McIntyre?
I can kinda hear.
Heater?
Aye.
DeCook?
Aye. Okay, we're no longer in public hearing. Board discussion or zoning comments? What do you say?
Well, based on the discussion tonight, is it still your recommendation to take this back to the preliminary plating?
I definitely don't think you should recommend it to just, I really think because it's been so long, it needs to go back as a preliminary plat. It's not probably gonna be held up. Because, I mean, the preliminary plat's not even gonna go in front of the zoning commission until January, cause they don't meet in December. So the first it'll go in front of the zoning commission will be January. Come a final plat would go in front of them in February, and then you would see the final plat in March. So the soonest this would get taken care of is in March. And I'm hoping by then he could have the consents from these mortgage companies. I'm hoping he would continue to work with Abby and Doug both, not just Abby. I think Doug is an important part in Abby's life, and I think that they would agree that they want the meeting between Abby and Doug and Warren Water. Am I not wrong on that? And Larry Hughes, you know, they all meet together, and I think if he can get on board with his attorney and get an agreement drawn up and brought into our office for review, and get the Wheatleys in our office for that signature, that would be great, so they can continue on. And I think I need to reach out to the Dooleys and make sure everything, do they see anything on this plat before he moves it forward on a preliminary plat, so we get everything worked out. So when he brings that preliminary plat forward, everything's in front of everybody, but it's giving him time to work through these. I think that should be plenty of time for him to work this stuff out with the concerns that are in front of everybody. That's my thought.
And is it your opinion that process would slow up the Wheatley's ability to construct?
I do not if we can get, if Larry's in agreement that he is gonna get in contact, and I will be on him to get that agreement done and get it into our office. He's going to be under a tight deadline. You know, they have builders come, you know, they have that lumber coming and we've been in contact with Creer, and they know that we know there's their deadline, and so he, you know, that should be his first call tomorrow morning is to his attorney to get that. And it should be a meeting in our office tomorrow morning to meet with us on what we expect that letter to say, and first call to an attorney in the morning to get that letter drafted for the Wheatleys. And I would make that part of your motion. And I think he needs to start over with paying the preliminary and final plat fees again.
Supervisor McIntyre, do you have anything else?
I can't hear very well, so I apologize.
I didn't catch what she said.
She can't hear that well.
Okay. Okay. We are no longer in public hearing. Darren, make a motion.
Yeah, I'll make a motion. Lindsay, tell me what you wanted included in the motion again. I understand the heading back to the subdivision process, starting with preliminary plots, but
I would
also
say
meeting with, or
meeting with zoning, the zoning ops staff, and his attorney to draft a letter for the Wheatleys to begin their building process.
So they can obtain a building permit.
Prior to final plat approval
Yes.
of plat number 2.
okay, I'll make a motion, regarding the Big Sky Acres subdivision plat number 2, submitted by Larry Hughes, to go back through subdivision, the process of subdivision, starting with preliminary plots, and included in this motion would be a requirement for meeting with the zoning staff, to develop a letter with the Wheatleys, prior to the final plat approval that meets the approval of the Wheatleys, and so everybody can be in consent, and that's my motion.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Lindsay and Don, did you feel like that motion sufficiently covers the issues that you have?
I think so.
Do we need to be aware of the meetings that they have to make sure he's staying on track with?
Yes.
And probably include in there that the zoning office is informed of the meetings with the issues regarding.
Just add my motion to keep, that the zoning, Warren County zoning department needs to be informed of the meetings, up to date, kept up to date on the progress.
I think she seconded that amendment, or
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? I'll just say this briefly, but hopefully everyone hears it. It's my intention that I'm gonna vote for that. Not to be punitive to Mr. Hughes and send it back to redo the preliminary plat process, but the delay and the issues that are present are just, I mean, we've got some issues there. Frankly, I'm not positive that the Dooleys or the Zanger Morels are going to provide consent absent things get resolved. So I mean, that's really the incentive to make sure that this gets to a workable, all parties are satisfied zone. Because whether it's Meridian or Pennymac or whoever, I can assure you, if I was the bank on it and my collateral decreased by 10 or 15% on something, I'd probably have an issue with it. So I'm not saying that I think even consent's gonna be a cheap shot. I think that it'll actually have to take some work. And then lastly, I'll say, it's also not my repairs. It's really up to the engineer and the developer and their legal team to dot i's and cross t's prior to when we get to this part where we have issues. It's our zoning director, our legal team, our own engineer. These are all funded by taxpayer dollars, and when we're utilizing time in a manner that's deviating from the standard development and planning process, I don't find it acceptable. So I will be in support of the motion in a second. Roll call, please.
McIntyre,
Aye.
Heater.
Aye.
DeCook.
Aye, motion carries. All right, number 16, consideration of the City of West Des Moines waterline construction easement across the Great Western Trail at Adams Street with possible action.
Had to be on the night with all the ordinances. Yeah, the City of West Des Moines has made a request to cross the Great Western Bike Trail with a water main. They are building a new water tower that adjoins a lot that adjoins the Great Western Trail. It would be just south of Orilla Street at Old Adams Street. Conservation Board has seen the resolution and agreed to it. So that's up for your consideration.
Good evening, Your Honor.
We do have a representative from the City of West Des Moines if you have any questions.
Yeah, would you like to speak, sir? Sure. You'd say your name and who you're with.
Bill Mayhews, engineer for West Des Moines Waterworks, 1505 Railroad Avenue, West Des Moines. As Mark mentioned, we are in the process of building a water tower south of Adams Street between Veterans Parkway and Orilla Road. It's kind of almost due south of where Bambino's or Smith's Meats were in the past. To build that water tower, we need to connect it to two of our large water mains on Orilla and Veterans. In order to do that, we need to cross the Great Western Trail with the water mains. We are seeking the easement to be able to do that. If there's any questions, we'd be happy to answer them.
I assume that'll increase flow or pressure.
Yeah, the purpose of the tower is to kind of steady pressure in the area. Right now we're operating on pressure, and once we have the elevated tower constructed, the pressure will be more consistent for the residents and businesses in that pressure zone.
Great, thank you. Do you have any questions for conservation or comments?
I don't.
Okay. Do you would like to make a motion?
Make a motion to approve the easement to the City of West Des Moines across the Great Western Trail at Adams Street.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
McIntyre,
Aye.
Heater.
Aye.
DeCook.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Bill.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for being here.
Take care.
Sorry it took so long to get to.
Oh, no problem. It's part of the process. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right, number 17 on our agenda tonight is approval of account for conservation rental fees.
We'd like the supervisors to approve to set up an account, a reserve account for the conservation rental fees and any other fees that we bring in.
Are there any questions? I know we discussed this in work sessions and we talked about the rental fees. What were the other fees that you were referencing?
So if we decide to charge for camping and for our shelter rentals.
And that would be your funds that you use at your discretion as they come in, correct?
Yes, for capital improvements and land acquisition.
Yep.
Our hope would be to generate enough funds to, like we talked about with grant application process.
Mhm.
And when we get that campground developed at Grants, we could see some revenue from camping.
Okay. Are there any questions? Do we have a motion?
Make a motion to approve an account for the conservation rental fees. Spelled differently.
Second,
Any discussion?
I feel like this has been long overdue, and I'm just so excited for them to have their own account. And, it is going to make the grant process a lot easier and smoother for them, as well as more than exceed, the viable use of their monies.
Thank you, Crystal. All right, we have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
McIntyre,
Aye.
Peter,
Aye.
DeCook.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
You have a nice day.
I'm
Okay.
sorry, we're on agenda number 18, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
We're on number 18, approve inmate meals between nutrition and sheriff's office.
Yep, can we table this until the 2nd of November?
Sure.
Okay, I just wanted the sheriff and, the nutrition director to be available, and they weren't available tonight.
Yep. Okay. We'll move that, we'll have that on the next agenda. If Chelsea or someone can make a note of that, we'll have that next one. Or we could do it in a work session, if we have a work session before then too, if it's urgent. So, okay, moving on then to number 19, budget report.
All right, so we are about 25% through the fiscal year. And as a whole, we're sitting at about 23.54% of our budget spent, so that's pretty good. A couple to watch are the recorder's budget. They're sitting right about 30% of their budget. That's caused by some data system fee increases, as well as wages and benefits are slightly over the budget. The second thing would be under capital projects, our 911 communication towers. We had about a $1.5 million payment in September. I will need to add that to a future amendment. We will also be amending the revenues too, because of that loan that we got, which wasn't budgeted for in this fiscal year. And then we've got maintenance, electrical and power bills have been running high, building repair and maintenance because of HVAC is also running high, so I'm gonna keep my eye on the maintenance budget. And then finally, general services, they were high last month as well because we made a large insurance payment, which is a big chunk of their budget. I am also gonna watch, we paid a $56,000 for our audit fee from fiscal year 21. Those are normally paid within the fiscal year, so it is possible that that would need an amendment if we end up having to pay for fiscal year 22 and 21 both this year. So that's everything I wanted to mention for the expenditures. If we look at the revenues, so again, we're
I
at,
have a quick question on.
Yep.
On general services, looks like it's pretty high. Do you have a rationale?
it's, so general services is that $235,000 insurance payment is a big chunk of their, it's a big chunk of their budget.
That just came, got it.
Yep.
So that'll even out in time.
Yep, exactly. So, with the revenues, again, we're 25% of the year, but we have gone to about 51% of our budgeted revenues, so that's great. For the auditor, we we haven't received our budgeted revenue for city and school elections yet. For the sheriff's office, we haven't received any contract and law enforcement payments yet for fiscal year 22. Same for the conservation board, we haven't received repayments yet. And then in nutrition, we have a budgeted transfer that just hasn't occurred yet, but it will soon. So that's what's causing that lack there. Again, under general services, we are budgeted to receive about 70,000 in COBRA payments. We've only received about 10 so far, so we're a little under the budget there. And then for Liberty Center Sewer, we've received about 1,700 in payments of the 11,000 that we had budgeted. Any questions for the revenues? All right. So finally, just looking at all the fund balances, our fund balances have gone down a little bit, which is expected because of our capital projects as we spend those funds. If you take those out, you can look at that last line there. We've actually, if you take out the capital project funds, we've actually kind of increased our fund balances if you look there. Of course, we have that $5 million in ARPA funds that we didn't have last year. That's a new fund. Again, if you have any other questions. Other than that,
That's a big difference.
yeah. Other than that, that's those would be the budget reports.
Excellent, good job.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah, good job, Megan.
Thank you. Next on the agenda tonight is, I'll make a motion to receive and file reports from A, the Recorder's Office, and B, County Coda.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
McIntyre.
Aye.
Heater.
Aye.
DeCook.
Aye. Motion carries. Supervisors report. Someone like to go first?
I can task based on time if you want.
Okay.
I prefer task based on time.
That's great. Supervisor McIntyre?
She also would like to forego her.
Geez, there's two's a trend. I think I'll do the same with the one small caveat of encouraging people to get out and vote. November 2 is coming up. I'm not telling you who to vote for. I do encourage you to research candidates. There are school board elections. There are mayoral elections. There are a few other boards that are having elections, and so please do take some time, get to know the folks that are going to be on the ballot, and exercise your constitutional right to vote. The election is November 2. Public input. Is there any comments from the public tonight?
Good job on reading all those hearings and everything. Good. Thank you.
All right, thank you. With that, our next meeting date will be November 2, 2021. That'll be 9:30 in the morning. And I thank everyone for their time. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
McIntyre.
Aye.
Heater.
Aye.
DeCook.
Aye. We are
Thank you.
adjourned. Thank you.